Good evening, guys. Happy Saturday to all of your sunshiny faces. Well, guys, I'm getting ready for bed right now. I do not have a grocery haul for you guys. I told you guys yesterday that I would probably have one for you guys today, and then I changed that and said that I probably wouldn't because we are going to go to Jewel tomorrow instead because my dad had to take his work truck in to get the flat tire that he had not fixed. He needed to get a new tire because I think he had a spare on, but I think it was like a full spare or whatever, like you know, I don't know, like a real tire again. So on his like work van, and he ended up taking that today, like earlier in the morning. So and it wasn't like first thing in the morning, but it also wasn't like later, so it was really hard for us to try to go before he had to take it in, and it would have been pretty late to have gone afterwards, so we're like, let's just try and go tomorrow. So that's the plan. We're going to try and go tomorrow. We're also going to go and see the new Captain America movie, so that is the plan for tomorrow. So we do have to go to the grocery store early, so I'm trying to go to bed early, even though I woke up kind of late today, because I think I woke up so early the day before because we went to the grocery store. So that is why I'm trying to get to bed a little bit earlier today. But I did get a little bit of editing done today, which was also kind of nice. And I keep thinking that today is Sunday because I was like, oh, well, we went to the grocery store yesterday, like my dad was home yesterday, so I keep assuming that today is Sunday, but it's not. Also, guys, the snow has started melting. We've started getting warmer weather. I think I told you guys also that like we were supposed to get like really warm weather this weekend, like it was supposed to be 40s and stuff like that. I think it's supposed to be beginning of the week actually that it's supposed to be that, and it's supposed to be like nice, like we're supposed to be like high 40s, I think, maybe 50s or so. But then I think by next weekend it's supposed to get like a little bit cold again, and then I'm hoping it will warm back up again after that. But it is supposed to be like somewhat warm, I think, this week and maybe next week, and then the following week or something like that is supposed to get cold, or like the week next weekend. But it's finally gonna be at least one weekend where it's gonna be somewhat nicer, which is kind of cool. The other thing though is that I think I'd also mentioned to you guys before that our neighbors that lived across the street from us, that they had listed their house for sale. I think I told you guys this back in like November or something like that, and I was like, oh, I thought like, you know, that they like were putting like their Christmas lights up on their Christmas tree, and then all of a sudden I just noticed that their house looked like it was empty. Like, I don't know when they had moving trucks out in front of their house and were like packing stuff up, because nobody in our household ended up like seeing that, like seeing them like packing things up and loading things up, and them having like a, you know, like a truck to like, you know, like package all their stuff up and like move it or whatever. Like we never saw any of that. And then again too, so they had like moved everything and then they listed the house for sale. That's why like one day I just looked out the front window and I was like, it looks like there's no furniture. Like all their porch furniture was gone. Then I looked, I was like into like their living room, like I could see like it looked like they had no furniture in there either. And I was like, that seems kind of weird. So then like literally like a few days later, I see like the for sale sign out front of their house, and I was like, oh my gosh, they listed their house for sale. But my dad had actually talked to, like a few weeks ago, one of the days when it snowed, they were like out there shoveling the snow, since the house, I think they were like in the process of it being sold at that point. But they had come over to like shovel the snow, just, you know, the sidewalk and driveway and everything like that. And they'd mentioned to my dad, like, you know, that they found a different place, and that, you know, it was kind of like a, I don't know, I want to say like a last minute thing, but like, you know, they just kind of decided like they were going to go and move. And it's an older house. It is actually a historically like marked house, like part of the historical registry. And so it's, you know, it's like a much older house. And I guess that like they were just like, it's just, you know, there's a lot of upkeep to it and stuff like that. And it's a beautiful house, but it's like a Queen Anne. It's very pretty, but it does seem like there's a lot. They were always out there doing something. Like the wife, she has beautiful gardens out there, and he was always doing some type of like project thing, or like in the garage, and he's like building stuff, and, you know, or fixing things, or, you know, just whatever. But it did seem like there was a lot of like upkeep on a house like that. And I guess that the house also too had like been in their family, like they owned it like since before we had moved in, and we've lived here for oh my gosh, 24 years, I think now. And they lived there before us. And so they probably lived there like 30 or so years. And then prior to that though, I guess like one of the parents had owned the house as well. So they've been in their family for a very long time, and then they ended up selling. And it's funny though, because the house is so old, even though it seems like they own the house for a really long time, it's probably just a portion of like how long, you know, the house has actually existed for. But the new neighbors, my mom just went over there today and ended up, well, my dad went over there last weekend. They were out there like shoveling, and you know, because of snow, it's just, you know, like that's where my dad meets everybody, is when they're shoveling the snow. But they were out there shoveling. My dad introduced himself, and they said that they were like kind of starting to move some stuff in, but they weren't like officially moving in yet. And then my mom went over there today. She brought them some bread, introduced herself, and ended up like, she was like, they were like painting today. So I think that they're probably maybe moving in at some point soon. But the thing is that with like new neighbors and stuff like that, like I said, we've lived in this house for 24 years, and we've had, for the most part, the same neighbors. Like, our neighbors have not really, it's not like a place that's like constantly people are moving and, you know, like leaving, and, you know, new people are coming in and stuff like that. For the most part, we've had very few neighbors around us that have moved. The people that live behind us have lived there, again, have not moved since we've moved in, like I said. So this is probably close to 25 years. The people behind us, like kitty corner behind us, kind of, they ended up, there was a family that lived there right before us. It was the like girl, she was like my age, sort of. We became kind of good friends, and then they ended up moving a handful of years like after we moved in, maybe close to like 5 years or so. But then the family that moved in there has been there like the whole time, so they've probably been there close to 20 years. The neighbors right next door to us, it was like 3 ladies. My mom always called them the Golden Girls. But they had lived there for, again, before we moved in, but then just recently, I think like 2020, like near COVID, they ended up like, it's slowly, like one of them I think needed to be in like more of a permanent care facility or something like that. They were like getting much older, so like they had moved, and then a new neighbor moved in, and like I said, they've been there now for like probably about 5 years, close to it. And then again too, the people across the street, I just told you guys, they were there for probably 30 years. The people across kitty corner from us, like on the other side, they have been there longer than we've lived here, and we knew them from like our church. The people that live right next door to us on the other side, they have lived there also like longer than we've lived here, and like I said, probably 25 or plus years. There is one house, there's another house that's also for sale. They live like a few houses down across the street. Their house is for sale, but it was an older lady that lived there, and again too, she lived there longer than we had. And then this couple moved in before, I want to say maybe like 7 years ago or something like that. And then the house that's like next to our neighbor, they had lived there. I think that was the only house that has like had a few different people that have kind of lived in it. But again too, I could actually go down the block and tell you everybody that lives there for the most part, or like people that have maybe moved but at one point lived there, and like still people that like still live in the same house. Most of the people in our area have probably will be in the same house for like 10 plus, maybe 20 years. Like on the other side from us too, there's these 2 other older houses. One of them was a lady that lived there for a very long time. Again, probably like since we lived at our old house, I think she lived there. Then there was my friend from school. She lived in a house next to like that house, and they lived there for a really long time. I think probably ever since like the parents got married. And like I know that, again, since at least I was in elementary school, she lived there. They had sold the house somewhat recently again too, but there has been a little bit of like some new people around in the neighborhood, but like not that much. A lot of the times, like I said, like so many people like end up buying the houses, and then they've like lived in them through like their kids like grow up in them, and then like, kind of like our house, and then like nobody ends up moving out, and then like it's just like people in this neighborhood tend to stay in this neighborhood for a very long time. It's just different, you know, like again, I'm so used to calling it like the so-and-so house because like of the people that live there, you know, like whatever, or just, you know, like knowing like, oh, those people have a dog, or like those people, you know, they have kids or whatever, and then like it just being different now because like people have moved out, people moved in. It's also different because we've, like, again, I was saying, so many of our neighbors don't move for a very, very long time. Like I said, for probably a very long time, we were the new people on the block still for many, many years. Up until, you know, and even to, like I said, kind of in our little corner of the neighborhood right here, we've probably been the newest people that have moved in probably like up until about 10 years ago. I'd say less than 10 years ago, we were probably the newest people that had moved in. So we'd lived here for probably 15 years and we were the new people still. So like I said, that's why like it's just now to have like multiple kind of new people slowly start to come in. It's just something different now. So it's, like I said, it's cool to have new people and new neighbors and stuff like that, but you also get into, you're like, oh, I kind of feel bad, like, you know, like not staying in touch sometimes with some of them, because like my dad knew one of the neighbors because they actually coached at the high school as well, and like he kind of became like better friends with them through that. Like we kind of knew them, we knew that they were our neighbors. My dad like kind of became more friends with them because they you know, were like coaching at the high school, and my dad started coaching at the high school, and now, you know, like they're not there anymore. It's kind of like, oh, we don't get to like see them, or like, you know, kind of know what's going on with them and that kind of stuff. That's the new buzz on the block right now. It's the new neighbors. But is that weird, like living in the same area and for almost like 15 years you were pretty much still the new neighbors? Like you're the most recent people that within probably like an 8-house radius, we're probably the newest people that had lived here for like probably the last 15, you know, 10 to 15 years at least. And now, like I said, within the last 10 years, we've had a lot more new people move in, and definitely a lot more in the last like 5 years. But again, like I was saying, like we were the newest neighbors, and now we're slowly, it's like all of the neighbors are becoming new neighbors, and we're like the old senior neighbors on the block kind of thing. So anyways, though, I am going to take a shower and get to bed. I will see you guys in tomorrow's vlog. If you guys did enjoy today's, make sure you guys give a big old thumbs up. If you guys are new, we'd love if you'd subscribe, and I'll see all of your sunshiny faces tomorrow. So bye guys.